Welcome to the 13th episode of The Idiot Farmers. Today we're going to cook, farm, and just goof around.
I forgot to videotape the process of making these, but I am going to show you. This is my chiles rellenos that I made from the ancho chilies. Poblano chilies in our garden. So the way that you... I get a little bit of reactive airway when I get near cooking peppers. So the way that you make this is you have to cook the peppers over gas, just holding them over the flame actually until the crust or the skins become dark and crusty. And then you put them into a container and close it and keep them there for 15 minutes. They'll continue to cook a little bit. And then you take them out, get all the skins off, take the seeds out and the cores out. And then you stuff the pepper. I used a type of Mexican cheese. You can use just about anything, but I used queso fresco. And stuff the peppers, and then you have to actually beat egg whites until they come to a stiff peak, and then fold in a mixture of egg yolks and baking powder. And then you have some flour. So then you roll the stuffed peppers in the flour, and then you dip them into the mixture of the peaked egg whites and egg yolks, and then you fry it on two sides for, well, 5 minutes a side. Now this is the first attempt I've ever made at chiles rellenos, so they aren't super pretty, but I think that they'll probably taste pretty good. You think so, Phil?
Oh yeah, I think they'll be fine.
And then we're going to serve that tonight with some refried beans that Phil made and some Mexican rice that Phil made. So that's going to be our dinner for tonight, and I'm sorry I didn't videotape the actual process, but now you know how to do it. So here's Phil trying them.
Was it really hot?
Spicy hot? No. Temperature hot? I don't know. Haven't tried it yet.
¿Te gusta?
Perfect.
Awesome.
Show you guys, this is a sink drain pipe in an apartment we own. I had to cut it today. I put two little splices on there for this old copper pipe, his old jobbies. I had to clean some stuff out. There was like sand or something in it that the previous owner put in. What was in it? It's really gross. It's actually from a sink. So today is the first day that the breast chickens have been allowed to enter Gen Pop. So they're actually being let out of their little house for the very first time. So we expect them to probably fight with the other chickens a little bit, probably get their butts kicked a little. One of them has already like flown outside of the cage, and he's out behind there, but we'll get him back in directly. But as you can see, we have a pecking order already established, and we're just gonna have to see how this goes. There's plenty of room, so hopefully this won't be too bad, but now there's two outside the fence. Two little cockerels. We might have to scare Big Red off there. He's sort of our resident butthole, but he runs this place, so everybody's got to learn their little place here in the thing. As far as going forward, we're going to probably have another 136 or 142 section of fence coming. One thing you can see here, the bottom of this fence is actually not poultry fence. It's wide, so this is probably sheep fence that we got off eBay, which, you know, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but The problem with sheep fencing is that it's too wide at the bottom, and stuff happens like you just saw, where that the little cockerel got run back through the fence, and he went right through it. So I expect he'll probably return here in a little bit. One thing that's going to happen this week is we're going to be butchering a few of the young roosters here on the right side that hatched out earlier this year, just because we have too many roosters. Don't really need any roosters at all, but we like to keep maybe one or two. We'll probably keep Bob the rooster and Red, and then that guy over here that Lee seems to like with no tail. I don't know what he is, but we might keep 3, and then the breast chickens, which are those white ones you see walking around some, whenever they get to butchering size, we're hoping 4.5, 5 pounds probably in a couple months. We'll probably butcher them too. So you can see pretty much rooster type antics going on in there. That's exactly why we're going to be butchering some roosters this week. So anyway, that's where we are today. Breast chickens already outside the fence. The hens are behaving themselves. They're too scared to come out, and we'll just have to see what happens.
So we harvested some basil today and some tomatoes from the garden, so I decided to make a caprese. And this is actually some mozzarella that Lee made from scratch.
I made a mistake and stored it in its own way, so it's flat.
But anyways, it's our own mozzarella, so I'm going to use that.
I'm gonna not store it in its own way this time. I'm gonna store it in a plastic bag.
So we're going to cut that up a little bit, throw some basil in there, and then some high-end olive oil. Excuse me. High-end olive oil and a little balsamic and some salt. So we're going to get that done. I'll take a picture when it's done.
Haven't played any video games today.
So today I got home from work and there wasn't a whole lot going on in the kitchen, so I decided to get out a couple of our cans of tomatoes from last year. One had tomato and garlic and the other was tomato and basil, and I put those into the food processor to make kind of a tomato sauce. I put in 1 can of tomato paste, and then I got some onions, some of the fresh herbs from our garden, and this melting pot garlic and wine seasoning, and I threw that into the container, and I am now heating, or actually defrosting, some spaghetti squash, some of the beef from our cows, well, our neighbors' cows anyways, and some of the zucchini noodles that we made. Alright, so here we are cooking the meat. Here are the zoodles, and what I'm doing here with the zoodles is I defrosted them, and then I'm just kind of frying them in a pan to dry them up a little bit with a little bit of olive oil, but you can see kind of, they've got sort of a noodly texture. I just don't want them to be too mushy. Unfortunately, the spaghetti squash is a little bit mushy, so we're probably just going to end up combining it, or I might try and do the same thing with the spaghetti squash. But that was the spaghetti squash, telling me it's ready. I'm going to take this off of the burner. So generally with spaghetti squash, you would cook it in an Instant Pot for about 2 to 3 minutes, and this was cooked, I think, for 7 minutes. So you can see that it's not really the texture anymore of spaghetti. It's more like rice, or maybe just mashed squash. I'm going to try and dry it up a little bit here. Regardless, the only thing we really like about spaghetti is the toppings, so that's going very well over here in this container. So we're about ready to add, as soon as this gets a little bit more done, we're going to add some tomato sauce to this and make a nice, made from scratch tomato sauce. And I like making my tomato sauce from scratch because most commercial tomato sauces have sugar added. In fact, almost all of them do, unless they specifically say no sugar added. And then even then, they have sweeteners of some sort. And I don't really like sweet tomato stuff, so I like making it myself so that I don't have to worry about that added sugar. so it is about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm getting ready to make some pozole, which is a soup that's made with chilies and pork and hominy. And I'm going to be kind of out of commission for a couple of days, so I wanted to make sure that the guys had some hearty and tasty food. So what I have here is, this is from our pigs from last year. I have some pork belly, which I've already chopped up a little bit. That's a pound of pork belly, a pound of pork shoulder, which I'm going to chop up here, and then a pound of bacon. Now, in no ways am I going to try and pretend this is a healthy meal. It is rather a hearty meal that will make them happy. Now, the way that you're supposed to do this is you're supposed to brown the meat and onions, which I'm going to kind of do, and then you're supposed to cook the meat and onions with chilies, and then add the corn or the hominy, and then simmer it with water for a couple of hours. But as you can see, I'm on my way to work. This is 2 pounds of bacon, by the way, and I only need 1 pound, so I'm just going to chop this in half. And those of you who are cringing because I'm wielding this knife are pretty smart. If you've been following this channel at all, you realize that I'm terrible with knives. And again, I say that's why I'm not a surgeon. But anyways, I don't have time to sit there and look over this all day long. So instead, I'm going to actually throw this in the Instant Pot on the slow cook mode and cook it for several hours and just kind of see what happens. So we'll all be equally surprised if it comes out. But actually, a friend of ours here in Elkins introduced me to this place, and it's fantastic. It's called the Fresh Chili Company, and they do roasted hatch chilies and jar them up, and there's red and green ones. And let me tell you, the hot is hot. It's so hot. Not inedible hot, but definitely uncomfortable hot. So I generally buy the medium because I like spicy, but I also like to taste my food. And that's coming from somebody who likes spicy food. So if you aren't somebody who likes spicy food, then I would definitely recommend going with medium. Getting some onions that I had chopped up yesterday out of the fridge. And this is the hominy that's been sitting overnight in water. That is not chopped onions, that is mashed potatoes. This is what happens when you cook before your first cup of coffee. This is chopped onions. So I'm just going to throw that in there on saute mode. The other key ingredient here is the Fresh Chili Company pozole seasoning. So I'm going to use that and season up these cuts of meat with the pozole seasoning. I'm using the larger Instant Pot, as you guys may imagine. The smaller Instant Pot just isn't going to cut it. And now I'm washing all of that raw pork off my hands. Bill just came down. He's going to make himself a cup of coffee after he lets the chickens out and feeds and waters them. So that's going to simmer. In the meantime, I'm going to, this hominy has sat overnight. It was dry hominy to begin with. You absolutely have to soak it overnight. Drain it and rinse it. If you don't, you will have hard hominy in your soup. So now I think to make this a little bit more flavorful, rather than water, I'm going to use some homemade chicken broth that we've got. I think that'll make it taste a little bit better. This is the patch chili, red roasted chilies that we're going to put in it. I'm just going to throw them in here because what we're going to do is I'm going to put the put the chicken stock in there too, and then once the pork is ready, we'll just dump it all in at the same time. I actually have some chicken stock that I made last year that this is a Mexican chicken stock actually, so when I cooked the chicken it actually had like chili and garlic and cilantro with it. So I'm just gonna use that to give it a little bit more pep. This smells amazing. I'm getting a chopstick out of my little chopstick nook. Why a chopstick, you ask? Chopsticks are the best way to open these things. They work really well. So I'm just going to pour my chicken broth in here. And I'm probably going to do 2 things of chicken broth since we're going to cook it all day. Boom, mix that up a little bit. Another good use for the chopstick. Okay, so that's pretty much it. It's going to take a while for this beef to brown. So I'm going to get off of here, go feed the dogs, water the dogs, feed the cats, have my tea, and then get to work. So this afternoon when the boys are eating, maybe they will videotape their final product and tell you how it is.
Okay, so we're starting to get a few eggs from our chicks, which are probably almost 6 months old now. They've been lazy, so that's one pullet egg, quite small as you can see. And look at this one, squishy. It's sort of like the inside membrane of an egg that's been laid. So anyway.
So they need calcium?
No, it's just pullet. It's, the first few sometimes don't develop right, so anyway, it's actually edible. It's just, weird. Anyway. Just a quick video of the finished product. This is Mindy's pozole. See the hominy and big old chunks of pork. Some of which are belly, some of which are like bacon, and some of it's jowl. And it's amazing. Anyway, yay!
So here we are in the kitchen. It is Friday, September 18th, and it is Friday during COVID, and we decided we were going to try and get takeout, but we both kind of wanted to just chill out in our jammies. So Lee is now making some French bread for dinner, and he's making a butternut squash soup, and I am going to take these chilies and some salmon and scallops and make a salmon with green chili cream sauce, and then we're going to have our lettuce from the garden and what's left of our tomatoes from the garden and a salad, and that's what we're going to make for dinner. So tell us what you're doing, Lee.
I'm making French bread. Right now I'm kneading it because it's got the right amount of flour in it. Just wasn't smooth enough for my tastes. So I want it to be smoother, so I'm kneading it.
How long do you need it for?
I don't care until I think it's good.
Fair enough.
Chico sticks are steaming the place up. So that was pretty cool. Figured we better get that on the video this week. So this is one of our little breast cockerels. I don't know if you can see, but he has blue legs, white body. As far as his weight, you know, he's like 3.6 Roentgens. Not great, not terrible, right? Not great, not terrible. Anyway, we hope to get quite a bit more weight on these guys before it's all over, before they get to processing size. And we're going to keep a couple of breast roosters in the end that are a little bit more towards, I guess, the ideal, if there is such a thing as an American breast ideal. Anyway, that's him. This guy right here, he's a dead man, because he just offered to flog me a minute ago. Not the little white one, but the brown one. He's in trouble. I wanted to show you one of the eggs we got today. Good sized egg. I think it's probably double yolker, but we'll find out. See if I can do this with one hand. Maybe I can. Should use the other hand, huh? Oh yeah. Very good. Pretty cool, huh? Double yolker. Hard to hold this phone otherwise. This is Mr. Jojo. Hey, Mr. Jojo. Say hi to the camera. Anyway, he's our Jerusalem donkey, so named because see this cross in the back? Supposed to be some religious thing. Anyway, Mr. Jojo actually doesn't need brushed, but he likes to be brushed. And he wasn't leaving me alone while I was brushing Fluffy over here, aka Luna. So you see Luna, she's actually been brushed. Now she doesn't look like it, but she's a little bit what they call Cushingoid, so her fur ends up a little bit funny. That's pretty funny because at one time she was a 105-pound skeleton. They're here for getting their feet trimmed today because they're a little long. You can see Cheyenne over here. Hey Cheyenne! And this is Fawn, the goatling. That's her mother, whose name's escaping me. I just call them both goatling. Anyway, trimming feet today. What you doing in there, chicken? Sitting on some eggs?
Well, that's it for this week's episode of The Idiot Farmers. If you like it, please subscribe and hit like down below and leave us a message. On the last note, we just wanted to celebrate that our lovely daughter got engaged this week. You all have a great day.